More in Music's mission is to educate and empower about careers and opportunities in the music industry. Their various programs give insight into the music business and allow participants to learn from peers and experts. Joining us from Los Angeles is Noelle Chestnut-Whitmore, founder of More in Music. How are you doing there? Great to see you.
Hello, how are you, Dr. Avis?
I am doing great. Now, I love the fact, Noelle, that you have an organization here that's about, I would call it the business side of the music industry. Can you tell me more about what you're doing with More in Music?
Yeah, so I started More in Music in 2019 after reflecting and spending some time with God and really asking Him how I can be more impactful. I've been blessed to be in this business since I was very young. I started as an artist first, and I'm a firm believer that you can give back at any point in your career. So I wanted to be very intentional about setting a clear example for myself as well as for other industry peers to create opportunities for us to be more communicative and inspire change and support for one another. So decided to start More in Music in partnership initially with the Covenant House, which is a homeless shelter here in Los Angeles. And then the demand and the support that we received from the community created an opportunity for us to build a partnership with the Grammy Museum, where we have been hosting panel conversations on a monthly basis with a variety of different music industry professionals with the goal and focus of, one, allowing people who are interested in the music industry to see opportunities that they may not know. Majority of the aspects of when people know about music, it's based on consumption, what they see and what they hear. Mm-hmm. And they don't necessarily know that there's all these opportunities behind the scenes and all these jobs. And I wanted to create an opportunity for people who look like me or communities of color who don't normally have access to this information to be able to not only know that there's more for them, but for them to see themselves in the people who are represented on the stages that I host panel conversations.
I absolutely love this, and this makes actually the name of your organization even more beautiful, no pun intended, because you're exactly right. Most people, our interaction with music is based in our love of music. We love to hear it, we love to see the performances, but we don't really get about what happens around the scenes to make all of that possible, and that boils down to jobs. You know, what have you found in terms of you opening up this sort of previously behind the scenes aspect of the industry to individuals? What have you seen in terms of reactions to all the opportunities that actually are there, but that most people just don't know about?
I've seen so many people be inspired and, more importantly, come out of those conversations with opportunities. I think there is a, perspective that people see when you think about the music industry, that it's extremely glamorous, which, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of perks and there's a lot of beautiful components of, being able to be in the entertainment industry, but there's a lot of hard work that goes into this business. And I think we give a really, really unique perspective and a real perspective of what the day-to-day aspects of what it's like to be in the music industry. And it gives a real life experience and connectivity to executives in this business where potential mentorships are coming from these conversations, and job shadowing opportunities are coming from these conversations, or it's giving people an opportunity to dive a little bit deeper and explore opportunities that they didn't know that maybe they were interested in. As I think about my career, I've been in the music industry in the live experiential space for the past 12, 13 years, but I stumbled into that at 19 years old. Imagine if I was 9 years old or 10 years old and I knew that I could do what I do now, how that would change the trajectory of my career and how it would create opportunities for generational wealth and increase for my family. So my goal and my focus is to create those opportunities for communities that normally don't have access to that information and give them the opportunity to know that there's more for themselves outside of the traditional workspace. And everyone loves music, but there's opportunities for you behind the scenes as well.
I really love that because, it's my thought that we are, like, as I mentioned, we're used to seeing what's in front of the camera. But as you mentioned, behind the microphone / behind the camera, behind the stage, there is so much that goes into that. Would I be wrong in assuming that typically those off the stage sort of opportunities are well paying and are largely not represented by people who look like us?
Correct. Yeah, I think it really traditionally depends on what aspect of the music industry that you're in. So, like, for example, for me, as a woman, as a Black woman in the live space, I'm usually one of, if not the only, or one of the few. And again, not only is it important for me to create opportunities for people who look like me, I need people to understand, especially communities of color, especially Black people, to understand that this culture and this music is traditionally built, or is built, off of our oil, like my friend Crystal would say, and our heritage and our roots. And it's in time for us to not only understand the opportunities and being in positions of power where we're making decisions based off of our art, but also to be able to inform and kind of be involved in a lot of the decision making at a higher level, which is the day-to-day business aspects of how this business works. I'm fully supportive of collaboration within communities, but I think that there needs to be a larger representation of communities of color and the communities in which we are mostly represented in high population and most of the success within this business, which is Black music.
You said a couple of things there that really resonated with me. You talked about power and you talked about business and having the ability to make your own decisions about your own art. I think all of those are such important concepts. But as you well know, unless you are in the position, in those decision-making positions, you can have as much talent in the world, but if there are other people somewhere else making decisions, they can in many ways undermine or undercut your success. So it's important that we have representation everywhere. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And I think, from a cultural perspective, we all have a very unique lens and background that I think is extremely important for us to bring to these work settings. When we're coming to these board meetings or coming to these, positions where we're able to have diverse voices from not only, again, culturally, but even from, like, as a woman. Like, I have a very different perspective than a Black male in this business. And I think it's extremely important for us to think about not only representation within all aspects of the business, but diverse voices across the industry.
I hear you. I'm going to let my panel jump in because I'm sure they'd like to ask you a few questions as well. Mustafa, what questions do you have for Noelle?
Well, Noelle, thank you for everything that you're doing. I spent a couple years at the Hip Hop Caucus, so I had a chance to work with a number of just amazing creatives throughout the whole sort of the hierarchy of all the various opportunities. I'm curious, when you are focusing on mentorships or internships, how far does that go down? Does that go down to high school or junior high school? And is a part of it, which I'm hoping the answer is yes, also about teaching folks about ownership in this space?
Yeah, so since we are still relatively small and new, so we were founded in 2019, my main priority going into 2022 and 2023 is to build strategic partnerships with high schools and with elementary schools. What I learned when we first started and we built the partnership with the Grammy Museum is like, okay, cool. We found an organization that does a lot of this community building and development work, but the biggest issue is accessibility. Being able to get a middle school or a high school student to come to me at the Grammy Museum, we realized shortly after, was not necessarily the easily accessible from a transportation perspective. So it's my goal and my mission to meet them where they are. And not only to meet them where they are, but to create opportunities for them to, again, see themselves by putting a variety of different panelists from a variety of different backgrounds so that they can connect with them in a way that, oh, that person is from where I'm from. And they might be interested in something that I didn't know that was possible for me until I saw them.
Teresa, your thoughts?
One, congratulations on the organization. I actually have been in your shoes as it relates to not being a music artist, but I've worked behind the scenes with production companies that handle music artists. So believe me, when I tell you there are not many black and brown people behind the scenes, you're absolutely right. There is more, and actually you probably get more access being behind the scenes and maybe humming or something and somebody catches you and you get that opportunity. So my question for you is your target audience maybe, because I feel like there has been this outpour of junior high and high school students. Have you maybe target some of your efforts towards the youth? Because I believe their talent is starting on social media, and I feel like we don't want it to end on social media. So I think your program would be a good segue.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, you said to the youth. I just want to make sure I understand
The
correctly.
high school and junior high kids, yes.
Yeah, that is definitely the goal. When I first thought about creating more music, the people that I had in mind, the young people I had in mind were young people. Were the 9, 10, 11, 12 to 17 and 18-year-olds. Because again, I think when you have access and creating opportunities and knowing that there's something outside of, again, consumption, when you think about, again, I listen to music, and the only thing that I might have exposure to is the fact that I can be a rapper, and maybe I'll know that I can be a producer. And then I see it through a music video or visually, and then I might, again, okay, I can be in the video, or maybe I might ask the question that, oh, who created this video? But even still, a lot of kids, a lot of young people are not asking those questions because they don't know to ask a question. They're only thinking about it from a passive consumption perspective. So my goal is to your point, to target them and have them explore a little bit more of like, let me ask the question of who created this video. I don't want to just watch this video. I want to understand who created this and what goes behind that, and how do I explore career paths in there. Like, is that something I can kind of target for going to school? So my goal, especially with the diminishing art programs, is to try to create a gap where there is still some level of exposure to music and entertainment through that, since you can't traditionally get to know the music industry anymore through performing. Like, my introduction to the music industry was through performing and singing and being in the band. And with that not necessarily being a priority in the school system now, I'm concerned about the future of the music industry and being more focused on creativity and being from a creative perspective. So our goal and our mission is definitely to target the youth for sure.
Great.
Kelly.
Again, thank you for this. I feel like I've heard you on Clubhouse a couple times regarding this matter, and the input and the advice that you have given me and so many others. It's really profound because you don't hear it, and certainly you don't get to hear from someone who looks and sounds like you. I guess my question for you would be, what roles do you think? And I preface this by saying, I know we need representation in every facet outside of just outward facing artistry. But what roles do you think are needed the most, and specifically most immediately, that is lacking Black and brown faces within the music industry?
If I'm being honest, there's been so many studies that have been done more recently that just talks about the representation across different aspects of the business, and my answer would be every aspect, from managers to record executives to live executives to executives in the publishing side and the streaming side. Like, there needs to be more representation across the board. That's just the fact. It is literally, we as a community as a whole just need to do better, and I'm looking forward to us doing better. And my goal and my mission is that creating a solution which is more music to try to hope to create a pipeline where there's more exposure, so that people can know that there's, again, these opportunities for them, even though they didn't know it was before.
You know, I so love the fact that you saw this problem. You said yourself, hey, if I would have known about this when I was 9, I wonder what else I could have been able to accomplish. And so you sat there and you created something to be able to reach children when they are 9, 10, 11, 12. First of all, kudos on that. But I am curious, when you start to open the minds of those young people, what do they learn about that they're most surprised to learn that they never heard of before until they got in contact with your organization?
So majority of the younger people that we've connected with have been, actually, no, it was, I remember, so we had a partnership with AEG and BET for the BET Experience Youth Program. And I think that was probably the youngest students that we've ever been able to reach so far. And we had one of my really good friends, Roland, who is an amazing photographer who has shot the album covers for some amazing artists from Summer Walker to YG. And hearing her story, and for people to find the kids to find out, like, oh, she's the one who shot that album cover, and seeing the light in their eyes and excitement was probably one of the most fulfilling and exciting things. And again, they left out of there knowing that, hey, when I look at this album cover, I don't have to just look at this from a passive perspective. I know that there's now someone who is responsible, or multiple people who are responsible to make this happen. Every aspect of any product that they touch now, they know, oh, there was an A&R who worked on the music. There was a creative director, a photographer, or a videographer who worked on the packaging or the imagery. There was a sound engineer, and there was, all these executives that are responsible for any and every aspect of the music that you consume. Absolutely. So that was amazing to see.
I bet that was amazing to you. And the fact that you've opened that up to these young people, you've really given them the opportunity to see themselves not only as artists, but as executives, right? Not only as singers, but as people who literally call the shots behind the scenes. So Thank you for everything that you're doing in that space. Is there any information you'd like to share about your organization and how people can find out more about what you do and maybe get involved in some way?
Yeah, so we are, because of the pandemic, we have not been doing any public in-person programming, but you can go to moreandmusic.org to kind of keep track of all the programming that we have been doing. We've been doing a lot of programming on Clubhouse right now, and then we have a partnership with Vivo where we are streaming some of our podcast series. And then I'm working on a new series right now that is focused on songwriting that we are hoping to launch in the new year. And then hopefully the Grammy Museum will open back up and we'll be able to get back in do more programming. So you can go to moreandmusic.org or More and Music on Instagram for more information to follow the programming that we have.
Well, thank you so much for all you do. What an incredible idea. And thanks for all of the young people. I'll thank you for them. All the wonderful opportunities that you are exposing to them that otherwise they'd never have any idea about. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You are welcome.
Back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punching!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
You dig?